Hello, everyone. You're welcome to Plugged In. And on this episode, I interviewed the amazing Aisha Shuaibu, also known as Superwoman Aisha. On this episode, she talked about how she deals with anxiety as a person and how she controls the stage when she's being asked to talk. So let's hear what she has to say about that.
Um, it happens a lot. I think even if you do 1,000 interviews in a month, you would approach every single interview with just a little bit of nerves because you want to make sure that you're always making sense when you talk. But my safety net is always sticking to what I know. So when I choke or when I get lost in my thoughts, I try to go right back to what I know because I can't forget what I know. So even if the things I've practiced isn't really coming out or I've forgotten them, I go right back to what I'm being asked about and I stick to what I know without I without sounding like I don't know what I'm talking about, getting lost in the conversation. So that's usually how I go. But it's normal. Everybody gets anxious before.
Has there been a time where, like, you were out to deliver a speech and your anxiety got the better of you?
The truth is, nobody would ever know from the outside that I'm anxious, but I'm always anxious when I'm speaking. Always.
Are you anxious right now?
No. No, but usually it's like it's less about the speech itself or you addressing the act itself and more about the delivery, because for me it's all about value, right? So wherever I go, whatever I'm supposed to talk about, I only care about what everybody that is listening is walking away with. So I worry about the strength of my delivery more than I worry about myself and me being anxious in that moment or any of that. It's more about I'm anxious about the delivery and what and the value, and the value that I'm kind of passing on. More than anything, I want people to be able to walk away at least and say, I feel inspired, I feel motivated, and I didn't waste my time. Because that would be really unfortunate for someone to listen to you and to be like, what a waste of my time.
So, a lot of us have problems settling down, fitting into new environments. So, moving forward, I asked Aisha, how was it like growing up as a child, and how was it like settling down in Abuja finally?
My childhood was spent moving around a lot. My father served in the Nigerian army, and we went from living in the US to living briefly in Kano State to Niger State to Plateau, and then finally settling in Abuja in '99. So I've been in Abuja most of my life, but prior to that, all we did was go from place to place, and the first and only people I knew and the first friends I had were my siblings. And I come from a family of 9 others, so we were 10 in total. So it was a very loud, active, busy house. And I have 7 brothers, so we were mostly boys. And, I had a very active childhood filled with a lot of sports activities, being outdoor, playing with animals. I was exposed to a lot of that as a child. I really don't even remember spending a lot of time in front of the TV. Then I think after the age of 10, it was more about just understanding other people because then I started to have more friends that were outside of my house. And that was when we settled in Abuja. So going from primary school to secondary school, it was all about understanding people and people of different backgrounds and cultures. I think for me, I was always just a little bit different in that sense because I didn't have a fixed upbringing. I had a very mixed one. So we grew up being very welcoming, warm, compassionate people in my house. And that translated into my relationship with others as I got older.
Aisha Shuaibu is an entrepreneur. She's the founder of Wafflewayng restaurants and also the founder of SWA Sports, which I interviewed her about. Let's see what she has to say about that.
To be honest, it was something that I always wanted to do. I didn't think, up until last year, I didn't think I would do it myself as a business. I always thought one day sports would be my retirement plan. I always used to say that, like I'm going to retire as a manager or as an agent, or I would have my own league or something like that. I always thought about that, and my children, I would be their manager. They'll be athletes. But then I just started to become a lot more aware of what was happening with sports, especially in Africa. And I was like, wait, something is happening now that and I'm a big basketball fan. So in 2019, they announced, I played in secondary school. Yes, I had to. I got slow. So in 2019, the Basketball Africa League, which is basically the Africa version of the NBA, was announced, and they were going to be forging an African version of the NBA. And I thought, I've watched the NBA my whole life. This is amazing. Finally, we have an African version. Because if you're an NBA fan, you have to be waking up by 3 a.m. to be watching games. So I thought, this will lead to so many things. We can have our own content. We can have our own athletes. We don't have to be thinking about only exporting our talents to Europe or America. We can now export them to Senegal and Rwanda, Yeah. So I got very excited about it. And the NBA Nigeria also opened up an office in Lagos, and I was thinking, all these things are happening. I want to be a part of that. And I was talking to so many people about opportunities in sports. I was like, in Nigeria, we're predominantly youth. I come from northern Nigeria, and all I saw growing up, going to Kano, going to Kaduna, was children on the streets playing football. So I used to think to myself, why have we still not used sports as a way of getting these kids off the street? Why do we still watch our kids begging and becoming bandits of tomorrow? Do you understand? Yeah. So for me, I couldn't reconcile that. And I thought, I can't just continue to watch this. I need to do something about it. So I was talking to so many people about it, not in a case of let's partner, just take it up yourself. Why don't you think about going into sports? I was talking to people I knew that already had the structure, because me, I had my own business already. I thought I don't really have the time now for sports. But sometime last year, I just thought, you know what? It's very easy to, in Nigeria, feel very demotivated, demoralized, uninspired, because business can be very hard. And I love running my restaurant. It's been such an amazing experience these last couple of years, but I felt like I was ready for a new challenge. And I had a conversation with my brother, who owns a flag football league here in Abuja. And now they're 4 years old. They've gone into their 4th season, so it's growing into this amazing thing. And I said to him, listen, because he's a partner in SWA Global, which is my brand consultancy business, my brand management business. And I said to him, why don't we also have SWA Sports? And let's just do it. Let's just, go into the new year and let's start this business and let's see what we can achieve in sports. And he was like, yeah, okay, let's do it. And within maybe a month, I just, was able to run around and this was in December last year. And while everybody was celebrating Christmas and end of the year, I was working to structure a business idea, a new business idea that I can enter the new year with. So SWA Sports came about, and immediately we hit the ground running. We organized our first event. We developed 2 event brands. The first one was Fight Night, which promotes combat sports, the most popular combat sports in Africa, which is boxing, wrestling, and mixed martial arts. And the second brand is Game Day, which promotes basketball and American football. Because my brother had the structure for football, so I thought we can probably do something with football as well. So literally, that was how it came about. We did our first Fight Night in January. We did our first Game Day in June. And next year, we have really big plans for what we plan to achieve. And right now, we're in the process of restructuring the company, hiring more people, more talent, which is very hard to find. And, doing our research as well, talking to more stakeholders and interested investors and partners, and seeing how we can expand what we're doing.
Being an entrepreneur as a lady can be tough. So I asked Aisha how she intends to stand out in a male-dominated industry like sports.
By being the best.
So how do you intend on being the best?
By doing what everybody else isn't doing. I think in Nigeria, we have a culture of cutting corners whenever we want to achieve something. And really, when you're on the journey of something, people care more about your hype and accolades. Okay. So how people celebrate your journey as opposed to the progress that you're making. So I told you I wasn't, normally these interviews, I find them a bit distracting to my work, but I took yours because it's youth focused. Okay. And I love the idea of carrying people along, especially the young people, because I didn't have those type of role models growing up. So being able to be on this platform and talk about what I'm doing may lead to somebody else doing more than me, better than me. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's very important. So that was why I took this interview. But normally, I just don't believe too much in making too much noise while you're in the process of doing something. This is one of the ways that I plan to stand out. by going out of our way and doing whatever we need to do to get the job done and get the job done well. And of course, anything worth doing is worth being done well. There's a lot of work that is happening behind the scenes of what we're doing that nobody's going to hear about for another year or two, maybe even longer than that. You know, maybe I may die somewhere along the way, and then the work will eventually show later. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's very important to pace yourself, to stand firm on your vision, and to get the right people to execute it with, and that's what we're trying to do.
Out of curiosity, I asked her what SWA means and how she keeps up with the standards that she set for herself.
Doesn't mean anything.
Nah, it does, because I know it stands for Superwoman Aisha.
So I tell everybody that the thing is, see, I don't think too much when it comes to naming things. Do you get what I'm saying? Wafflewayng was a rebrand. I rebranded Wafflewayng from a different name, and it was a name that, you know, I just put it out there to my family. I said, we need to rebrand this business. What name? And some of my best friends and some of my families were just throwing out names out there. And eventually when I heard it, I thought, yep, this name works. Let's go with it. You know, it's a way, there's an arrow there. It can show progression. Do you get what I'm saying? So with SWA, I just wanted it to be a bit sentimental. I call myself Superwoman not because I think I'm up there, but because I'm actually aspiring to achieve something that a woman in my position has never done before. A northern woman, a youth, a Muslim woman. It's very important representation-wise that there be more of us within these spaces that are making impact and are carrying people along the journey. So SWA, I don't say, oh, it means Superwoman. Aisha, do you get what I mean? Obviously, that was where it came from. But for me, it was just a reminder to myself that, listen, this is a part of your legacy. So carry it well and execute it to the best of your ability.
So, having said that, how do you keep up with the standards that you put for yourself?
So I have practical things that I do, and I also have things that maybe I would just habit-wise that I would just adopt. So habit-wise, I would say discipline has played a really huge role in my journey in life in general. I regard myself as a very disciplined person. I've made a lot of progress, I think, as far as my personal development, because it's been a conscious effort. I always call myself a work in progress because I'm my toughest critic. So I always make sure that I'm very introspective on my journey, and I, you know, go back to the drawing board and try to improve myself as a leader, as an entrepreneur, as a woman, you know, everything. Practically, I actually write down goals. I have several notebooks, and all the different notebooks, I doodle, I write ideas, I write goals. I have an actual list that is dedicated to goals, and I've had it since 2020, and I go back to it and I tick, 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 tick. So I go back to that a lot, and I check the list and I realign myself to my goals. I also have a very strong support system. My friends, my family, they have been with me throughout in the last 6-7 years, even before that, everything that I've done. And I have a lot of people that I look up to that are doing much bigger things than me, and I talk to them a lot because I love to learn. I'm always open to learning. I always allow myself the opportunity to learn off people, the people that work with me, for me, and alongside me. I go back to them a lot and I consult. So really, that's what it is. That's how I regulate.
Networking is integral to anyone's success. Let's see what Aisha has to say about this.
I think my process of networking started very, very early for me. My first engagement, or let me say the first thing I ever did, really, I think I was about 15 years old. I got involved in charity work. My friend and some of my schoolmates from secondary school, we started an NGO at the time called Millennium Generation Foundation, and my role was in regards to marketing and media and promotions and all of that, because that was my strong suit. So that, of course, required you to just do a lot of talking, meet a lot of people, and it really started me off on knowing that that was something that I enjoyed and I was naturally good at. So what happened over time was, when I now started business, or even prior to that, actually, I volunteered a lot. I was involved in so many of my friends' activities, whether it was events or it was in the promotion of their businesses or in hosting. I did everything. I really developed my skill in meeting people and just like being in their face with something, whether it was like promoting something or getting you to sign up for something or getting you to pay for something. And, you know, again, from the childhood and all of that, just familiarity with engaging with people, it was very natural for me to be able to just meet people. So I started growing my network very, very early. I always tell people that, you know, Abuja is a very small community. And as someone like me that has been here since 99, I feel like I know everyone there is to know, or at the very least, I'm one person away from knowing somebody, unless maybe you just moved here. I started networking and doing a lot of those things very, very early. Now, though, what I do just to kind of rekindle that, because you always have to go back to your network and kind of reconnect and, you know, remind people that I'm here and I still have this business that I want you to support. And now I have this company that I want you to kind of be a part of and join us and support us and all of that. It's very important to attend events that are tailored to what you're doing. I always, when there's somebody that I look up to that's participating in an event that's wherever I am, I make sure that I attend. Just as a guest, I make sure I'm there. I try to meet them if I haven't met them already. I engage with other like-minded individuals that are likely to be there. And I use that as an opportunity to grow my network. It's very important to seek out people that are in your industry so that you're able to expand your network, because you really never know who is going to be your way into kind of getting the things that you need and want. So you have to go out of your way to do this. You have to attend these events. You have to attend forums and conferences, and, you know, also share with people within your network and say, listen, I'm interested in this. If you hear anything about it that favors me or that can help me or that can teach me, please connect me to it. You know, your network is your net worth is not a joke. You have to leverage off what you have in order to get to where you want to get to. So this is something that I really believe in, and I'm always making sure that I surround myself with people that are aware of where I am, so that when there's an opportunity that I'm top of the mind, they call me and they say, listen, I think you should be involved in this, or I think you should meet this person. They can easily, you know, connect you to this thing that you need. So that's my strategy.
How did you get the money to start your business?
So I just want to say that I'm on an early journey now with my sports company who are looking for money. Do you get what I'm saying? So as you start new things, fundraising never stops, right? Even when you're stabilized, you're looking to grow, you're looking to expand. This is a challenge that everybody has. And it's a question that everybody asks: how can I get access to funding? How can I get access to funding? The truth is, there's no one way. You have to make do with what you have in the moment. You have to bend backwards and, you know, rely on the support of family and friends, personal funding. You have to apply for grants. You have to look for loans. But there's always a way. And I think people sometimes get discouraged because there's no one answer. But all of us had to go through it, unfortunately. With my restaurant business, I didn't have a huge startup funding or seed funding. I just didn't have access to that. And I just made do with what I had. I went out of my way to sign up for events that would give my business visibility. There was a lot of free stuff that went out just for me to secure that trust in my clientele and customers, to get them to come and support me. Again, your network, they play such a huge role in supporting you when you're just starting. So you have to carry people along. Don't ever think that you can do anything on your own. When there's a track record of where you began and you talking about something to you executing it, people are more inclined to support you because there's that consistency. Because it's very hard for people to want to support anything in the beginning stages. Nobody ever wants to sign up for that because it's a risk. I put my money into something, there's no guarantee it's going to come back. But when there's somebody, people tend to bank on the person, right? They bank on the strengths of somebody, where you come now as a host of this amazing platform and you say, listen, I have this platform. You know, I've gone on 10, 20, 30, 100 episodes. I would love you to fund me. You've built traction, right? People are likely to support you down the line than in the beginning. In the beginning, everyone will be like, Fawaz, you know, I don't really know where you're headed. I like you, I want to support you, but it may be bad market. I don't feel comfortable enough to support. However, when you've built that traction and you've built that trust, and you've also carried people along, there was a beginning that people were a part of, and they don't even know how you got to your 100th episode, but you got to get there, right? Then people can now say, okay, let me sponsor you. You know, I've seen your progress. You're clearly consistent. This is clearly something that you want to do. Consistency is very important. Traction is very important, because you will really struggle in the beginning. In fact, you won't get anything out of it, especially if it's passion inclined. You know, my work with sports at the moment, I'm able to keep going, not because there's a lot of returns coming now, but because I love it, right? But it's going to have to fund itself at some point, or else what are we doing, right? You're wasting your time. You're chasing a passion project that can't even feed you. So that has to still be a part of the plan. So carrying people along is very important, and there's definitely no one answer when it comes to funding. But if you go about it the right way, in terms of just engaging with what you already have, leveraging off what you already have around you, you'll make a lot of progress in the long run.
As you can see, this is how she got the money to start her business. But now, how does she sustain her business when opportunities aren't forthcoming?
Well, with the restaurant business, I mean, you already have seasons, you know, where business is better than other times. So that's inevitable. There's times where you're just not doing as well as other times. And then given the current situation, we're in a global recession, Nigeria is experiencing a lot of setbacks in relation to the strength of our currency, the availability of foreign exchange, the availability of goods and services. We're an import-reliant country. My products are heavily reliant on imported goods, so we're experiencing a lot of challenges now with cost and pricing and stuff. And you know, it's just something that you just have to ride through. You can't say you're going to give up simply because times are hard. I say this everywhere I go: crisis breeds opportunity. Despite how difficult things are sometimes, it's important to identify the opportunities within the difficulty of it. There's always going to be an opportunity, whether it's doing things a bit differently, finding a new revenue stream within that business. There's always a way that you can pivot a bit to survive difficult times. So it helps to see other people, what other people are doing differently, so that you can emulate that and see how your business can also survive. Again, you can't do anything alone. So partnerships, collaborations also helps a lot during difficult times. And I love collaborations, because I just love to work with people, especially those whose brands I already look up to and admire. I just feel like the closer that I am to somebody that is doing better than me, the closer I will be to being where they are, or even higher than that. So collaborations, huge way to get yourself out of difficult situations. Yeah.
Different entrepreneurs have different barriers to success. Let's hear what she has to say about this.
I would say people taking you seriously generally. I've been in some rooms where I set the meeting, I've arrived, but people have not realized that I'm the person that set the meeting. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, maybe they think you're somebody's staff. I don't know what's written on my forehead that shows unseriousness, but I think it's very easy to just not take young women seriously whenever they enter the room. But I mean, it's not a means of you holding it against anybody. It just means that you have to just go out of your way to prove yourself. Adversity is inevitable, especially for women. I come from a culture that isn't necessarily known for empowering and elevating women. Of course, the times have changed now, and there's more northern women now that are doing amazing things and are stepping up and are actually being different. They're daring to be different. They're defying the norms. They're breaking stereotypes, which is fantastic. But there can never be enough of us. So I'm here, and I've given myself that burden, or given myself that responsibility to carry the torch on behalf of the younger ones, to say, okay, this is what I'm doing now. I'm in sports marketing now. You could be in sports merchandising tomorrow. You could be an athlete. You could be in sports medicine. You could be in ticketing, in licensing, in broadcasting. But there needs to be more of us, because if other people see more of us, then they can now say, okay, there's something here. Do you get what I'm saying? Or else I'm just going to keep looking like the sore thumb and the duckling that got lucky or something. Like, no, it's a decision that you make, and then you step up and you say, okay, there hasn't been enough of us here for people to see that. Because I always get the question is, oh, as a woman, but if there were more of us, that you wouldn't be getting that question, right? People will be more focused on your delivery as opposed to, but this is a very unconventional job for you. You know, it's a male-dominated industry. Every industry is male-dominated. Do you get what I'm saying? Like most industries that you look at in the world, it's just it's a lot easier, I think, to think sports and politics and all of that and think, okay, male-dominated for sure, right? But really, when you look at, there's no equity anywhere in the world when it comes to the corporate world and in governance, in politics. There's no equity. There's still an imbalance. So we still need to level that out. Or we don't, it's not even that we need to level it out. It's possible that we may never level it out. But you owe it to the younger ones to say, listen, you have options. You don't have to say this has to be my job. This has to be how I live my life. Don't limit yourself, because your choice of what you end up doing could change somebody's life. It could change the world. It could change your country. Nigeria needs that more than anywhere.
So finally, let's listen to Aisha's advice for young people.
I think we're experiencing an era of very unrealistic expectations about success and how to kind of get material things and how to sustain it as well. I think as a person, everybody has their individual values, and at the core, that is what truly matters, because you can't really tell people how to think and you can't tell them how to live their lives. But what I would say is it's very important to just know what really your purpose is in life, because that is what drives you towards what will actually get you a very comfortable and content life. I would say pursue contentment over just comfort and happiness, because it's not possible to be happy all the time. And I think attachment to material things and an extravagant lifestyle, it's very easy to desire those things because you feel like that is what your life is missing, and should you get it, everything will fall into place. But that's really just not true. There's nothing wrong with desiring the soft life and comfort and all of that. I think we all want comfort and contentment, but you also have to know that with every action there's a reaction. With every work that you put in, there's results, and you can't expect to reap the rewards of work that you never did. So, you know, there's no such thing as a free lunch. There's no such thing as just free things being handed to you. Don't expect to be handed things when really your work is what would, first of all, get you a lot of that self-respect and self-belief as well in yourself. Knowing that your hard work resulted to something that you got yourself is very empowering, and it's very assuring, it's self-assuring as well. And self-assurance and self-actualization is everything. Really, it's the top at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Attaining self-actualization, self-assurance is very comforting and would allow you to peel yourself away from other people's opinions and what other people burden you with as far as expectations and how you should live your life. So, you know, I would just say that, you know, do your best in everything. Don't get carried away by immediate pleasures and joys. I personally enjoy the concept of delayed gratification a lot better, because I know that I'm working towards a goal, and that sense of purpose, working towards that goal, is my driving force, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be somebody else's. So everybody's different. Identify what it is that drives you, but try and make it bigger than you. Try and make it beyond just your own comfort, what you have and what you get. Because the whole purpose of life is not just about you alone. It's about you and the people that you carry along and the people that you take care of. And that's the beauty of purpose, because that's what fuels you when times get hard. When you're on the verge of giving up because as a woman you've been doubted so much and you've just received a lot of no's and a lot of doors have been shut in your face, what keeps you going is that drive and that sense of purpose, knowing exactly what you're here for and what you're here to do. So discovering what that is very integral, I think, to your own personal contentment.
So Aisha, thank you so much for all what you've said. And on that note, we've come to the end of the show.
Thank you so much for having me, and I wish you a lot of luck moving forward.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah. I've been listening to Aisha. I hope you guys find this episode educative as I have. Till next time, stay plugged in.